Getting a quick mic check here. Quick mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I hear myself. So that is good news, everyone. All right, let's get things going. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. I'm Tori Cooper, and we just finished our editorial meeting, and now we're already getting things going, just bringing everyone up to speed on where we are going to diverge our crews into the community today to start digging on some of the top stories that are trending right now and trying to get some new developments on that. So if you didn't tune into our newscast last night, our top story throughout the weekend has been the missing 2-year-old boy, Josiah Mitchell. Now, this has been an investigation that's been garnering a lot of attention since Friday. Our Atlanta News First anchor and my co-anchor, Carly Barnett, really was the first reporter on this story on Friday. She went out to the apartment complex after we first learned about some of the details. Now, his father, the 2-year-old Josiah Mitchell's father, his name is, let me just make sure I have this correct here, Artavius North. He's now in custody and facing charges related to making false statements that his son, Josiah, was kidnapped. Now, that's all police have said about the father of the toddler. But now a search is underway. It has been for the last several days because he was reported missing on Wednesday, and then now the search is still ongoing. Now, since this took place, police have really been focusing their search efforts in 2 different areas. They have been focusing their efforts at the Elite at Lakeview Apartments in East Point. That's really where many of them have been out there at the lake, actually, that is at the apartment complex. And police also decided to drain the lake just to make sure that no stone is left unturned in this investigation. But that's not the only place that police have been focusing their attention in this investigation. They have also been an hour south of DeKalb in Spalding County in the city of Griffin at a landfill where reports of search efforts are underway in that area too to see if there is any evidence of Josiah Mitchell. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. We have spoken to the mother of the child, and police have been very tight-lipped about this, and you can only imagine what it's like as a mother to be going through this, and you're searching for your 2-year-old, and the father of your child is behind bars right now facing charges. So still a lot to unravel here in this case. I'm just going to show you a picture of Josiah. Maybe you'll recognize some of our coverage from a picture. This is Josiah Mitchell that you're looking at right now. And again, if you're just tuning in, the search is still continuing for Josiah Mitchell. His dad, Artavius North, is in custody right now facing charges of making false statements. And that's really where we're at in this investigation. They went out to the Elite at Lakeview apartment complex. They've been out there for several days, draining the lake to try to find any evidence that he may or may not be there. And we were told that the lake is now officially drained, and there's the lake right there that you're looking at. And again, a missing persons flyer of Josiah. So they have also conducted search efforts in Spalding County in the city of Griffin, and they have been searching a landfill there. So I just wanted to reiterate that because I know not everybody's always tuned in at the top of our First Alert cut-in. But we also had another situation transpire today, or yesterday, I should say. And I'm going to come back to me just so that we can move along here. And this, we don't have video on this right now, but we do have our Atlanta News First reporter, Asia Wilson, working on this because we learned whenever we get information that we didn't really know more about when it exactly happened, we always usually get that preliminary information from police the next day. And that's what happened with this situation. A 3-year-old girl was found unresponsive inside of a pool at an apartment complex in the city of Fayetteville, which is, of course, in Fayette County. Now, the city of Fayetteville Public Safety released a statement to us. They told us that they got a report about this, and police went out there, and then they removed the little girl from the pool, and then she was airlifted by a helicopter to a children's hospital in the area where right now her condition is unknown and they have not released her name to us. So now we are sending our Atlanta News First reporter, Asia Wilson, back out to that area to try to see if we can track down family, try to see if we can track down any additional information about what happened. And of course, if we get that information, you will see it in our 6 o'clock newscast, or 6:30, I should say. All right, now moving on to some Political news. You know we're following this. This is the top story right now happening nationally as it relates to the election subversion case here in Fulton County. This is now surrounding Trump's former White House chief of staff, Mark Meadows, who was one of the listed 19 people indicted here in Fulton County for allegations of election interference. And now, so earlier this week, we saw that he was trying to get his case moved out of Fulton County into federal court. And now he's asking a federal judge to dismiss his case altogether under the guise of the supremacy clause. And he says that he has immunity because of that clause. So what that clause says, I have it right here. The Supremacy Clause stops states from interfering with federal officials carrying out executive duties. And Meadows claims this applies to him because he was a federal official when the allegations of election interference took place. So again, I'm going to say that one more time because I know that this is political jargon and sometimes that goes over people's heads. So I just want to say that again. So the Supremacy Clause stops state prosecutors from being able to prosecute federal officials while they are alongside anyone with executive power. And in this case, Meadows claims this applies to him because he was a federal official when the allegations of election interference took place. So if you don't know who Mark Meadows is, maybe this will be a quick refresher course for you. This is Mark Meadows, and again, he's Trump's former White House chief of staff. So now we have our Atlanta News First reporter, Yasmina Alston, working on breaking down the motion that was filed to dismiss his case, and with the federal judge that he's asking to do that. We're going to break that down tonight so that we can really pick some more meat off this bone. And in light of all this, we still have our camera crews that have been just locked down at the Fulton County Jail because the 19 people that were indicted here in Fulton County on Monday night have to all turn themselves in by noon Friday. Now, we also are already hearing rumblings that the Trump administration is coming here to Georgia to work out some conditions of the former president's surrender and what that might look like for him here in Fulton County. And so while we await that information, we are still here following every new development. And Mark Meadows is really making headlines because he's now claiming immunity in these charges here in Fulton County. So that's the very latest. I do want to just read a few statements directly from the motion that Mark Meadows' attorney filed. It says, quote, "The state's prosecution of Mr. Meadows threatens the important federal interest in providing the President of the United States with close, confidential advice and assistance firmly entranced in federal law for nearly 100 years. The motion also argues that Meadows, I'm just reading directly from my notes right here. The motion also argues that Meadows is immune under the First Amendment, which protects political expression, and the 14th Amendment, which prohibits the application of unconstitutionally vague statutes. So a lot happening here, basically just claiming that he is immune from everything that he's charged with here in Fulton County. So we do have some political experts that we are hopefully going to get our hands on today to talk more about this and really break down this motion that Mark Meadows and his attorney filed. But now the other top story is really taking place outside today. And I'm going to take you outside really quick, and I'm going to let you peek out because it's dry right now, no rain, but we are tracking a very big warm-up underway. And
yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to bring in First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin, who's going to tell you all about it. Hey, Cutter.
Hey there, good evening now. Trending a little bit cooler after being in the lower 90s this afternoon. Again, it is seasonably pleasant, we'll call it. It's not cool. It is still warm outside, but we have much hotter weather on the way in the First Alert forecast. In fact, I just put a video in the First Alert weather app. Again, good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in and for watching. I'm a First Alert meteorologist, Cutter Martin, and I put a video in the First Alert weather app talking about the heat we have coming up this week. We could challenge, if not break, a handful of records, both morning temperatures and afternoon temperatures. And what I mean by that, the two records that are most likely to be broken will be a couple of record warm morning low temperatures, meaning on that specific date, it has never been that warm for a low temperature, coolest temperature of the day, at least in recorded history. And it's possible we could break a couple afternoon high temperature records as well. Again, outside right now, you can see behind me, we'll bring the camera up full for you. It's not too bad hour-by-hour forecast, lots of sunshine, just a little bit of haze out there. We do have some smoke filtering in once again from Canadian wildfires. We're very used to that so far this summer season. Just a little bit of that out there today, so you may notice kind of a milky tinge to the sky. Hour-by-hour forecast, temperatures cooling back from the lower 90s back into the mid and upper 80s. And then we'll be back in the upper 70s, lower 80s by late this evening, and mid 70s by 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning. I want to remind you we're streaming across many platforms right now: Roku, Amazon Fire, the Atlanta News First app, First Alert Weather app, atlantanewsfirst.com. But if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, YouTube, the place to be. Atlanta News First is the account to like and to follow. And right now, noticing some comments coming in. We'll leave that hour-by-hour forecast stuff while I read some of these. Politely Intrusive 412, again, that's the avatar on the page. Christina Turner and Kayla Manor all commenting about the cases coming up and some of the news stories that Tori Cooper was letting us know about. But if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, again, we're here to keep you updated, and we'll be chatting about the weather in depth here over the next few minutes, and I'll be monitoring that feed to see if any weather questions, comments, concerns do come in. All right, hopping over to tomorrow morning. We've established this evening is pretty nice. Tomorrow morning, also nice. A little warmer of a start tomorrow morning. I think some folks could manage upper 60s in the greater metro. Your chance of falling below 70, it's going to be in your more rural, your wooded, and less concreted areas outside of I-285. McDonough, for example, 69. Maybe Covington falls into the upper 60s. Perhaps the Dallas community. Carrollton falls into the upper 60s. Douglasville, though, forecast to be 71 out the door tomorrow. 72 Roswell, 74 Embry Hills, downtown and midtown Atlanta, mid-70s. Also into the Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International Airport area. That's where our official low temperature will be taken, mid-70s. Some inside the perimeter. It could be a little bit closer to 70 degrees, especially north side, Buckhead, Collier Hills, that area. But in general, milder than it was this morning. Kennesaw, 72, 71, and Sugar Hill. If you're looking for cooler air, mountains, that's the place to be. Blairsville, 63, Blue Ridge up in Fannin County. Maybe the Clayton community up in Rabun County, Clay County, North Carolina, these higher elevation communities in the 60s tomorrow. So nice start. 68 Dalton, 68 Canton, upper 60s Rome. Carrollton is mentioned, again, a little cooler, upper 60s. Covington at 69 as well. It's going to be a pretty quick warm-up, though, tomorrow. That low temperature, the numbers you see on the map there, those will probably occur about 6:30, maybe 7:30 in the morning. And then after that, we're going to be warming up pretty quickly. So that's not a snapshot of the whole morning, just kind of a moment in time early tomorrow, right as that sun is starting to rise. And, of course, with the setup we have now, it won't take long at all for temperatures to warm quickly. Case in point, we're back close to 80 in the 9 o'clock hour, I think solidly in the lower 80s by 10 a.m., then back into the upper 80s by 11 a.m., 90 degrees by noon. Lots of sunshine tomorrow, just like today. Light easterly breezes, so a very light breeze. Not much of that Mother Nature's air conditioning blowing around tomorrow, so it'll make it feel even hotter. Humidity is there tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to be too atrocious. Maybe a little bit more muggy than it was today. We do also have a heat advisory in effect for a portion of the area. Not for the city of Atlanta, but we're going to get close. In fact, here's a look at what it will feel like hour by hour tomorrow. The bottom number, those are the actual air temperatures that are forecast. The top number associated with those colored panels, that is what it will feel like. And notice how tomorrow afternoon we could feel like it's in the lower 100s, maybe 100 to 103 on the hotter end of things in the city of Atlanta. But further south, conditions will be a little bit hotter. Temperature is about the same for Atlanta, I should say, but we will also have greater amounts of moisture, more moisture in the air, and that'll have it feeling even hotter tomorrow. So again, keep that in mind. We do have a heat advisory in effect tomorrow. Going to pull that up here for you now, and bear with me 1 second while I readjust this map. And again, put the new alerts on here. And from Oconee and Clark counties, that is in effect late tomorrow morning through tomorrow evening, Eastern time, 8 p.m. Randolph County in Alabama, of course, that has a central time, expiration time at 9 p.m. Upson, Lamar, Pike counties also, that expiring at 8 p.m. It'll feel like it is between 103 and 106 degrees there, so a little bit hotter than the city of Atlanta. Not included in the heat advisory is the city of Atlanta itself. but Fayette County, Coweta County, Clayton County, Henry County, Rockdale County, all included. Also Clark and Oconee counties, Greene County, Banks County not included, Gainesville not included, so the northern half or so of North Georgia not included, and up into the mountains we go. It'll be even cooler, though still warm, but not approaching heat advisory criteria. All right, we have a comment in on Atlanta News First, the YouTube account. Again, we're streaming many platforms right now, but if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, YouTube, kind of the place to navigate to, monitoring that feed. Again, I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin, chatting right now with Mr. J. Willis 1. Farming is a big part of the Georgia industry. Is there anything unique this week to Georgia crops with the seasonal Georgia weather, please? The heat, and it's going to be dry. North and middle Georgia, I know the peaches have taken a big hit because of earlier weather this year and then going into the spring. 1 week of hot weather won't necessarily ruin anything, but we have had a pretty hot 2 to 4 weeks now. And Mr. J. Willis, we have hot weather in the forecast for the next several days, nearing records. It's going to come with some moisture that'll kind of slow the drying out rate of some of the plants, whether it's your yard, your grass, or your plants in your flower bed, or maybe a bigger operation in farming. Because the air will be just a bit more humid, it'll slow the zapping of the moisture out of those plants with this intense sun and heat. And right now, again, it is looking like the heat is going to remain the big story. In fact, I can pull up another graphic for you, Mr. J. Willis. This is bringing it out for you in an extended fashion. 96 Monday, 99 Tuesday, 100 Wednesday, 99 Thursday, 100 Friday, 100 Saturday, and then maybe a bigger dip in the temperature, though still hot as we get into the latter half of the weekend, with temperatures still in the mid to upper 90s. So it is going to be pretty toasty here through the majority of the work week. Keep in mind these are actual air temperatures, so it will feel even hotter when you factor in the moisture in the air. Certainly, to put it simply and straightly here to you, we do have excessive heat in the forecast, dangerous heat in the forecast over the next several days. Again, I'm going to pull that graphic back up in case you missed it. Dangerous heat this week, or next work week. Some consider, of course, Sunday the start of the week. So dangerous heat is underway in the forecast, already underway to our north and west, but I think it makes its presence known locally across North Georgia as we get into that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday time frame. First alert all of those afternoons. It's going to be scorching hot, but it will feel even hotter with kind of the mugginess, the moisture in the air. So regardless of how that impacts the crops themselves, anyone working outside this week, if you are working out on the land, if you're working for GDOT, working on the roadways, if you work in construction, if you're a roofer, if you are, an emergency first responder, police, fire, EMTs, folks that are outside in the thick of it, it is going to be a scorcher of a week. Make sure you're staying hydrated, not just water, but the electrolytes, things like Gatorade, Powerade, stuff like that. And you need the natural salts as well as the water. Also, find shade whenever possible. Wear lightly colored and loosely fitted clothing so you can get some air, some circulation to help cool you off a little bit, and take breaks. Also going to be the type of week teachers. I was at a school in East Atlanta, down in the kind of the Grant Park area, Candler Park, and they were talking about how last week they did not have recess a couple of days because it was so hot and there were heat alerts in effect. It is very possible, teachers, there will be no recess at least a couple of afternoons this week. So a little bit extra cabin fever energy there in the classroom possible this week if kids don't have recess. And for the older kids, the middle schoolers, high schoolers, after-school sports, your 2 days, of course, early season football practice could be impacted by the extreme heat, depending on day-to-day fluctuations in cloud cover. And if we do get a rogue shower or thunderstorm, that'll determine which day is the hottest and which days are the most dangerous heat-wise. So we're going to be watching this for you pretty closely here over the next several days. Just wanted to give you the first alert, let you know heat is going to be a factor for many plans this week. If you're an outdoor exerciser, you like your work week runs earlier in the day or maybe scoot them a little bit later, maybe right as the sun is setting or just after, and that'll be the best time to get that done. I want to remind you, full forecast coming up in just a little bit. 6:30 on WANF, another live stream tonight answering your weather questions as they come in. We'll talk a little bit more about the tropics this evening as well. Starting at 8 p.m., right where you're watching this live stream. And then we're back on Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock hour, and then back on WANF at 11 p.m. In the meantime, you're never more than a couple clicks away from the First Alert forecast, First Alert weather app. It's a quick and easy download. Just search First Alert Weather or Atlanta News First in your app or Google Play Store. Have yourself a wonderful evening. We'll see you back here at 8 and on TV, as well as streaming at 6:30 p.m. Stay cool this week.